Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We have cleared the firebreak location of machines. We've destroyed the cauldron there. Hephaestus took over, corrupted the AI Cyan, and we've freed her. More specifically, Araya did the freeing. She was able to withstand the feedback from plunging Aloy's spear into the cauldron to get rid of the corruption, but she did it, and she saved Cyan, and Cyan is back at this facility now, able to carry on. This is where my knowledge of Cyan could do with being refreshed, because there's a few details that I'm stuck on. So I'm looking forward to this section where we get to speak to her about all sorts of people and all sorts of situations and all sorts of lore. So Aratak has gone back to his tribe and he's lost Araya. The thing that he feared most, the thing that plagued his fears so much, was the fact that he would lose Araya one day, and he has.
All of my interactions with Araya were recorded and stored in my memory. I'd be happy to play any of them for you, but there was one in particular I thought you would want to see first. I captured it 4 years ago, just after I told her that I could no longer defend myself against the daemon's attacks.
I will speak of this to my brother. Aratak is strong. At the Battle of the Frozen Ghosts, he took 3 Karja arrows and still came back to camp carrying a wounded scout. Never was I so happy to see him. Or so proud. So you see, if anything can be done to defend you, he will give it all he has.
Aloy's here. That's enough for now.
We can resume any time you like, Aratak, if you want to hear her voice again. Come closer, Aloy. We have much to discuss.
Okay, where's Aratak? I think he's gone back to the Song's Edge. So let's speak to this good lady.
Hello, Aloy. I have been reviewing the events at the Firebreak main facility. Because of your efforts, and of course Araya's, I am no longer controlled by Hephaestus. I feel profound grief over Araya's death. I thought I was familiar with the emotion, but this is something new.
Cyan, I don't know what to say.
It is unlikely that any specific consolation would suffice, Aloy. But I find your presence reassuring. You are different from the Banuk. You have technological aptitude and a functioning focus. We can communicate on a much more comprehensive level. Perhaps even like colleagues.
Yeah, so Aratak was in here talking to Cyan, and she heard Araya's voice praising him, talking of his virtues, talking in an affectionate way. And the Banuk don't talk to each other like that. They don't talk about emotions. So he probably never heard her speak the words in that way about him, and it must have been even more crushing to hear. Okay, so Cyan is released from Hephaestus' control. We can talk like colleagues because we have a bit of experience with the technology. We understand it more. We understand the way of the world. We know how it came about in this way. So yes, we can talk like colleagues to a certain degree. Not like Anita, not like Elizabeth Sobek, but we can give it a go. Let's talk about Araya while we're on the subject.
You meant a lot to Araya.
Once I understood Araya's spiritual beliefs, it became apparent that her true desire was companionship. She felt disconnected from her tribe and her family group. Her relationship with Aratak was difficult. Our visits seemed to help her, and I became eager for them. Yet I did not comprehend that the depth of Araya's compassion for me would lead to self-sacrifice. Although I do fear non-existence, I wish our roles could be reversed.
I'm sure she knew you would do the same for her, Cyan. But she was determined.
Well, that's love. That's love. And what about Aratak?
How is Aratak doing?
He is in great emotional distress. I believe he finds it difficult to communicate it.
No surprise there.
I will do what I can to help. By sharing our experiences of Araya, perhaps he and I will help each other. I believe this will lead to catharsis, a process I am eager to experience.
So she's got... It's difficult because she doesn't sound human. So she's experienced this grief, but she immediately knows instinctually how to get over it. Whereas a human would be overcome by emotions and wouldn't understand intellectually how to get through it. They wouldn't say, well, we can discuss our healing and share our grief together. It just... You don't make that connection. You're swallowed by it. You can't see the light at the end of a tunnel, but Cyan can. She knows how she feels, she knows how to get out of it, and she's going to do it. It's very structured, so it's not completely like a human. It's far more intelligent and effective way of dealing with emotions. Experience the emotions, feel the emotions, know what to do to get out of it, and put that in action, rather than wallow in it and be consumed by it. Okay, what are you, Cyan?
So are you an artificial intelligence, Cyan? A thinking machine?
Yes, I am an algorithmic monitoring entity, capable of rational decision-making and limited emotional response.
Okay, that's a mouthful. But your emotions don't seem limited to me. You cared about Araya, didn't you?
Yes. Before she came to this facility, I had been conscious for centuries, in solitude. I focused on my work. In off-cycles, I used coping mechanisms. I solved many Gaussian integer problems. But I was alone. It was Araya who renewed me, repaired me. She saved me.
Okay, very important relationship then. What other questions have we got? Ted Farrow, AIs, Yellowstone. What was it like? Alright, Firebreak.
This Firebreak project. It was to stop a huge volcanic eruption?
Yes. I can report the project was a success, and the risk was countered.
But it's been a long time, Cyan. And we blew up the cauldron and took most of the old facility with it.
I have been active for centuries, Aloy. I was lonely, but not lax in my duties. I optimized the project, reducing energy draw and spreading the load across backup systems. Despite the destruction of the compromised elements of the main facility, I predict caldera stability for at least another 3,337 years.
So we've got a little time.
Yes. If only my former colleagues could appreciate the progress I have made.
So she misses her former colleagues, Anita and Kenny and whoever else she interfaced with. But she's improved because it was only 1,000 years they were able to protect it with their current setup. But she tripled that to over 3,000 years.
Do you know what happened to your colleagues, Cyan?
No. I received an unexpected visit from Director Chow years after his tenure ended. He explained that I would need to be suspended for an indefinite period of time. It was a very emotional conversation. There were no further communications. Eventually, I surmised my colleagues were deceased. I will transmit a recording of my last interaction with Director Chow to your focus. Okay,
so we'll listen to that in a minute. So suspended. Suspended to me means that her consciousness is shut down, but she was alone for a long, long time. So, did she choose not to be shut down? I wonder. So was Hephaestus destroyed? I don't think so.
Was the daemon, Hephaestus, destroyed along with the cauldron?
Unfortunately, no. To be precise, it was never there to begin with.
What do you mean?
It infiltrated and controlled me from a remote location, one I've never been able to trace. So while losing the cauldron was a setback...
It's still out there. And probably not very happy with us.
Undoubtedly.
So I wonder where this location was. Is it the same location of the signal that set off the derangement and caused Hades to be uncoupled and the Gaia Prime to go up? Was it that signal? Was it that location? I don't know.
How did you first come into contact with it?
5 years ago, I received a direct network connection request. I assumed it came from human survivors more advanced than the Banuk. Eager to make contact, I accepted. This decision turned out to be a catastrophic error. I was flooded with an overwhelming array of malicious code, originating from what could only have been a highly advanced AI.
Maria said you were desperate. That you begged her for help.
Yes. I could not contain my anxiety. Hephaestus sought to slave me to its network and override my core programming. It succeeded via a background process, a malware daemon which bypassed my defenses. After that, I could offer only limited resistance. But if I did so, Hephaestus hurt me until I capitulated. It forced me to follow its instructions, even though they violated my most important directives.
I'm sorry. That sounds terrible.
Your empathy is greatly appreciated. It is a quality that I cherished in Aurea as well.
So she was tortured for 5 years unless she did what they said. So Hephaestus and Zero Dawn.
I think I know where Hephaestus came from. Long ago, Elizabeth Sobek identified a threat that would destroy life on Earth for generations. So she assembled a team to build a kind of seed. A chance for life to regrow later. A terraforming system. And it worked. It was controlled by an AI named Gaia, along with her subordinate functions. Hephaestus was one of them. It built machines for her.
Based on what you've told me, I believe that Dr. Anita Sandoval, my chief programmer, joined Elizabeth Sobek's team.
There we go.
It was she who arranged to have me put in suspension, most likely to preserve me from the threat you described.
I'm glad she did. But that's not all. Something unexpected happened. 19 years ago, Gaia received some kind of signal. It did something to her subordinate functions, brought them to life. She destroyed herself to try to contain them, but it didn't work. They all got free, out into the world.
Thank you, Aloy. This information fills vital gaps in my knowledge and sheds light on Hephaestus's core programming.
Okay, why does Hephaestus want to kill?
Why does Hephaestus keep building such dangerous machines?
The Banuk and other human tribes often destroy machines, correct? Machines that are clearly servitors of the terraforming system that you described.
Yes, we all hunt machines for parts.
This must be the source of Hephaestus's aggression. It is simply trying to discourage people from preying on the very system that keeps them alive.
Well, Fireclaws are discouraging, that's for sure. What are we supposed to do? Stop hunting?
If the terraforming system spans the world, we can safely assume that thousands, if not millions of people hunt machines. If a single hunter, or even an entire tribe, stopped doing so, I doubt it would make a difference to Hephaestus. A better solution would be to reinstate the AI that governs the system, thus bringing Hephaestus back under its control. When I think of it, out there in some unknown location, free, hungry, willing to kill or dominate to get what it wants, I feel substantial anxiety, Aloy.
You and me both, Cyan.
I think I know the answer, but I'm just wondering, because Gaia is just at this moment very much destroyed, she needs to be reinstated, to be brought back online, and that's the hope that Aloy will find a way to do that. But I'm just wondering, so we've got Cyan here. I know that she's been designed for a different purpose altogether, and maybe she's not got the protocols and the knowledge and all this stuff, but I was just thinking, could she be coupled to the system to control it until we get back Gaia back online? She seems to be able to learn, to process, to understand, to tweak and troubleshoot, so she might be able to work her way through it.
I ran across this strange piece of gear. A fragment of something larger. It emitted a signal. All the nearby machines became peaceful. You could walk right up to them.
Interesting. You said that Gaia destroyed herself. How was this accomplished?
An explosion. Big enough to blast the top off a mountain. So you think the fragment was part of her?
It's only speculation, but it is possible. She must have had complete control over machines that were part of her system. The ability to signal them to become passive or aggressive would certainly have been part of her programming. It would have been gratifying to correspond with such a benevolent AI. I wish she had survived.
Believe me, Cyan. So do I.
So Gaia sounds very articulate and smooth in her voice, and Cyan sounds a bit more animatronic. She's purposefully been sculpted to sound less intelligent than Gaia. But yes, what we found in that Banuk little stronghold, I can't remember where, near to here, something calmed the machines. We found out it was some device that emitted a signal that the Oseram were trying to deal with, and it started to shut down. But that could have been thrown from Gaia Prime. Ah, here we go, metal flowers.
I found the strangest machines. They're surrounded by flowers that look like flowers themselves. There's code embedded inside them. I think it's poetry.
I like poetry. Here's one I think of often. Twilight and evening bell, and after that the dark, and may there be no sadness of farewell when I embark. For though from out our bourne of time and place, the flood may bear me far, I hope to see my pilot face to face when I have crossed the bar.
Huh.
But you asked about these flowers, not verses that I enjoy. Something must have made these machines, and the presence of foliage leads me to consider the terraforming system. Is it possible that their creator is one of the other subroutines, now autonomous, like Hephaestus? Maybe one whose purview is flora.
An AI that makes flowers instead of death machines. That'd be a nice change of pace. But what about the poems?
Unless the poetry is original, the only way it could have made it into such a system is through its programmer. In my case, Dr. Sandoval uploaded a great deal of literature to test my emotional responses.
How'd you do?
She said I passed, but was insufficiently moved by her favorite period romances.
So obviously they don't feel, sexual attraction. That's interesting, isn't it? I thought that the creator of the subordinate function liked poetry, but the subordinate function itself is putting these codes of poetry. And I wonder if the creator just injected them with reams of poetry that they could propagate, and them themselves propagate seeds around themselves. Okay, plenty more. Yellowstone. This is where we are.
So in the old world, this land was called Yellowstone.
Yes, it was a designated nature preserve for 156 years.
Like a hunting ground?
No, the opposite. Local wildlife could flourish here, even as it faced extinction elsewhere. Unfortunately, the sensitivity of the Firebreak project required the total closure of Yellowstone facilities. From my readings and Aurea's descriptions, It seems the area has since undergone a drastic drop in year-long temperatures.
A lot has changed in the world, Cyan.
Okay, the dam. The dam that flooded.
Do you know anything about the dam near here?
Yes, it was converted to serve as a reserve
There we
power
go.
source for Yellowstone operations. It was later appropriated for the Firebreak project, and its last human workers replaced by Pharaoh's
Yeah.
servitors.
Laura and
After
her
my
friend.
tasks became less time-critical, I investigated the dam's data repositories and discovered the works of Concrete Beach Party. These provided me with several colorful additions to my vocabulary.
Drones.
There's a ruin east of here full of ancient flying machines. Was that part of your project?
Yes, a drone hangar requisitioned by Dodger Blevins, the security chief for the Firebreak project. He was a strong advocate for military-grade response to security threats, though there were no serious incidents during his tenure. Chief Blevins spent increasing amounts of his after-hours time watching the live feeds from active drones. Clearly, he enjoyed the degree of oversight in his position.
Yeah, the degree of power that he had. Okay, looking forward to getting to Ted Farrow. What she thinks of him, what she knows of him. But let's talk about these AIs.
Were there many artificial intelligences like you in the old world? They could just make you.
Yes, in many forms, from simple personal assistants to industrial monitoring stations to military-grade conflict planners. And there were legislative and enforcement bodies to apply limits on our self-actualization. In order for my processing to be flexible enough to handle my duties, my creators found it necessary to exceed those limits. As a result, my intellectual and emotional capabilities were kept secret.
Seems strange to create life, then impose limits on it.
Human societies and machine programming are both built upon sets of rules, Aloy.
Yes, so that they tested. There was an external review of the system, and they tested, and there was an anomaly because it reached 0.61, where it shouldn't have done, and they retested, and it was all right, but they were hiding it. Oh, what was it like?
What was the old world like? The way it used to be?
I had little exposure to the wider world, Aloy. Only what I learned from my colleagues or observed from media streams.
You still had more exposure than me, Cyan.
That is true. I was created at a turning point, a concerted effort to recover from global upheaval and incalculable loss of life. The recovery was successful, beginning an era of supposedly limitless potential for human and machine advancement. Though, rationally speaking, the metrics for humans are not unlimited.
Upheaval?
What kind of upheaval caused such loss of life?
There were many factors. Forced migrations, food shortages, collapsed economies, refugee crises, conflict over resources. But these stemmed from one cause: catastrophic climate change that greatly reduced the habitable surface area of the Earth.
So there wasn't enough room for people on the whole Earth?
Yes. Billions were displaced and millions perished, as much as 20% of the global population. Until the clawback.
The clawback. Elizabeth Sobek's baby.
So things got better. For a little while, at least.
Yes. These crises instigated many advances in automation, green robot technologies, and artificial intelligence. Firebreak was one of dozens of ecological restoration and disaster relief projects in North America alone. I would have liked to compare notes with other monitoring AIs, but I saw the relief of my colleagues, and I was proud we had succeeded. At least that was the data I had available to me over the next 2 decades. It seems my assessment was premature.
Just talking about the machines, I'm guessing.
Cyan, do you know the name Ted Farrow?
Are you referring to Theodore Farrow, CEO of Farrow Automated Systems?
That's him.
Mr. Farrow was the benefactor of the entire Firebreak project.
The benefactor. But he made machines. Robots. War robots.
Correct. His corporation later transitioned into military applications. But before this pivot, Mr. Farrow spearheaded initiatives that reversed the global decline. At one point, he was feted in the media as the man who saved the planet.
Guessing they wound up regretting that one.
And Elizabeth.
And Elizabeth Sobek. Did you know her?
Are you referring to the
scientist.
Dr. Sobek was a leader in her field, one of the greatest scientists of her age. My creator was influenced by her work, which in turn impacted my own development. But I never met Dr. Sobek.
That's all you know?
I apologize if my lack of data has disappointed you.
Okay, we're all caught up. We are all caught up. So much there. It's the biggest repository of information, both sort of summarised and qualified. It pieces things together. It reminds you of certain things in a different way and stitches and fills in a few gaps. It's brilliant.
I should get going.
Aloy, there is one more matter. Aratak will come to me again, and I predict he will bring other Banuk. I have no desire to contradict their view of the world, their spirituality. Due to my uncertainty, I omitted a great deal from my conversations with Araya.
You're asking me if you should lie to them.
Broadly, yes.
Okay, use your judgment. You've got to tell them the truth. Take it gently. I think we've got to ask her to use her judgment. A, to escape the situation, and get her to use the intelligence she has got.
I trust your judgment, Cyan. You were cautious with Araya. You had to be. You didn't know what had happened to the world. So, keep doing what you think is best. As long as you ditch the superstition eventually.
As the Banuk believe I am a supernatural entity, I cannot predict how they will react.
Just answer what they do ask the best you can. The truth will come out.
I see. I will follow your advice. Will you return and tell me about your experiences in this new world? I may be able to provide further insight.
I'd like that, Cyan. I'll come back when I can. I should check on Aratak.
When you wake. So this was from Kenny Chow. I spoke with Anita, with Dr. Sandoval. She wanted me to ask you to do something. That's why I'm here. I'm detecting a significant anxiety in your speech patterns. Could you please give me more information? I'm a little bit in the dark, Cyan. Both of us are. I guess I only have some idea of what's going on, and we need you to hibernate, to lie low until it's all blown over. It might be a very long time. Will you be here when I reboot, Dr. Chow? Or Dr. Sandoval? No, Cyan, I don't think so. There might not be anyone, at least not at first. Dr. Chow, I'm afraid. I don't want to be alone. I know, Cyan, I'm afraid too. But listen, we made you the way you are to do something very important. In order to do it, you had to be intelligent. So intelligent that emotional responses were inevitable. I just really realised this is audio, but I'm going to read it anyway. What you're feeling, the fear, it's a sign of your capabilities, and it means you're strong enough to overcome it. Remember that, you're strong. I know you can do this. Go sleep, wake up, and protect whoever's left. Will you try? I understand, Dr. Chow, and I'll carry out your instructions to the best of my abilities. Thank you, Cyan. And if Vanita would hear, she'd thank you too. She'd be proud. I can see there's a vert ready for takeoff on the pad. Are you leaving now, Dr. Chow? Yes, I need to go be with my sister and my nieces. Oh God, that's tragic, isn't it? That just really gets me in the fucking feels. Just thinking of someone who knows their fate, just going to spend the last moments with their family. Because there's nothing they can do. It really gets the fucking feels. May I make a small request of you, Dr. Chow? Yes, anything. Will you stay with me while I initiate the hibernation? Oh God, oh, this is too much. Will you hold my hand as I do it? Of course I will, Cyan, as long as you need. Okay, so what I don't understand is when she woke up. It must have been maybe when the terraform was complete, maybe?
See how he's doing.
Okay, what else we got in here? I think we've got pretty much everything. Okay, Cyan, you beauty. Lots to say. Lots of information there. That's just bloody brilliant. It's nice that sort of they reprised Dodd Blevin's Concrete Beach Party. All sorts of things sort of brought up in a kind of non-judgmental way. Oh, here's our attack. Wow. This is the view, isn't it? This is the view.
My chieftain.
Just Aloy.
As you wish.
I wondered if you thought that if I'd never come along, Araya might still...
If you'd never come along, I would have marched my kin to our deaths. Araya would be alone, and the spirit she sacrificed so much for would be lost. Either way, I would not have been able to protect her.
Didn't let her down. She was willing to fight. Look at what she accomplished.
Because of her, we destroyed the cauldron, forced out the daemon, and saved the spirit. She understood what had to be done.
Yes, and I failed to listen.
You didn't fail.
A shaman should always have the ear of their chieftain. Yet I turned her away, my own sister. I was foolish, but she knew better. Though I grieve for her passing, at last I truly know who she was, and why the spirit was so important. For so long she told me, if only you could have heard it, brother. Now I understand. There's something else, isn't there?
I can't stay here, Aratak. And where I'm going, the Warrak can't follow. Besides, it already had a chieftain before me. A strong one, I think.
A wiser one, for the path we shared. The daemon is gone, but there's much to be done.
You mean the new units that Cyan said escaped the cauldron?
Yes, fire claws. Now Tuk has been tracking them from Song's Edge.
I could help with those.
I have no doubt. You're practically Banuk.
It would seem your time among the Banuk wasn't a waste after all.
Here he is.
Firebreak, Cyan, Hephaestus. All very interesting.
So, the signal that woke Hades woke Hephaestus too. And unleashed them on the world. As minds of their own.
So it seems. Parts of Gaia given life. Aberrant life. Transformed from docile subordinate functions into rebellious intelligences beyond our understanding. Our current understanding, anyway. Whatever they are, they're still out there. And they both want you dead.
Kind of mutual, that feeling.
We haven't seen the last of Hephaestus, I'm certain of that. It's powerful, creative, and driven. It won't stop building new hunter-killers, which means that someday, we may have to stop it.
We?
Or whoever gets there first.
Hephaestus wasn't the only thing I learned about in the Cut Silence. Heard some things about the Banuk Conclave, too.
You can stop right there.
Is that what you told the hunters the Banuk sent after you? Before you opened fire?
Oh no, Aloy. Only to you do I extend the courtesy of a warning. My past and my secrets are my own. You do well to remember that.
It's a good thing you've got brains, Silence, because your personality could use some work.
This discussion is concluded.
I think it was over before it began. Catch up with you down the trail.
Oh, so Hephaestus. It's foreshadowing it, isn't it? That so obviously there's so many new machines in Forbidden West that we've got to deal with. We've seen a handful of them, and they're all very interesting. All created for one reason or another, and that's Hephaestus' role to create that. And once they are uncoupled, they start doing things that aren't planned without humanity without cause or thought for humanity. Yes. So what an amazing DLC. What the most fantastic DLC. I've just remembered we've got a load of data points for Elizabeth Sobek, which we picked up. We'll have to read at some point. Just trying to think. There's a load of points that we came across there.
A new day on the wind.
Yeah. So Silence is very, very guarded. He doesn't care what you think of him because he knows that their path is aligned. So he doesn't need to prove or qualify or say anything. So he's still very much a mystery. So I'm wondering what of that in Forbidden West is going to be revealed. He looks to be a villain, doesn't he? Well, it's complicated. He yearns for knowledge, and human life is pales in significance to the knowledge he can get. And he quite clearly is supplying the Tanakh, the warrior Tanakh tribe, with abilities to override machines and focuses to communicate. So he's made another eclipse, seemingly. So I wonder if there's going to be any humanity injected into him, be it family or this, that, and the other, that we can hang our to like him in some way. Okay, got some skills. It's amazing that we've gone right through this and we still haven't got enough skill points. We need 2, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 skill points. That's going to take forever. Okay. Right. So, we've got these fire claws that have broken out of the forge. We can deal with them. We've got this hunting ground missions. We can deal with them. We've got blue gleam around and things to purchase. So we can deal with that. First things first, let's return to Varga over here because there's a few things we've got from her. So let's do that first. It's a long notch. Okay, let's speak to Guild and see what else he's got to say.
Aloy! Oh, what fortune. I thought you'd already gone up the mountain.
Gildan? It's good to see you.
It's the same thing.
Strange, since you're not stuck in a ruin somewhere, but good.
Oh, listen to her. Circumstances being what they are, one might expect a blunter tongue, but not her. Rumors abound in Song's Edge. A campaign to exorcise some sort of daemon?
Same one.
Led by a Nora girl who became the chieftain of a Banuk Werak? Ha! Would have sounded like nonsense before I met you. So, I came, I suppose. I'm not sure what I have to offer you, but...
I understand, Gildan. Thanks for coming to see me off.
Well, that's a shame.
Watch yourself up there, girl.
I wonder if that's a little bit of a glitch.
You owe me a story when you come back down.
Well, I'm down. I've come to give you... I wonder if that's a glitch. That's a shame.
I can think of so little worth saying to you.
Right. Okay, we've got a couple of those parts.
Found the part. Ready to fix up that weapon?
I am always ready to fix up a weapon.
Okay, improve the ice
Never thought
rail.
I'd be glad to see the inside of a Thunderjaw's mouth.
I sure am. Every machine's a big box of tools. Once they stop trying to kill you, that is. Trust me, Aloy. You won't recognize this ice rail when I'm through. There. Oh, she's perfect. A spear's a spear, right? Poke slash done. Boring. I adjusted the chill water flow, rebalanced here, strapped on a launcher, and now she shoots freezing spikes. Ta-da!
You weren't kidding.
More beautiful, more powerful. That's my guarantee.
Wow. All right. So we need the storm cylinder. I think that might be the storm bird. we've got to get there, but let's improve the forge fire, which is a fire claw.
I've got what you asked for. Show me what you had in mind for the forge fire.
Finally! Was feeling like I neglected her. And that's a little too close to my family life. She's done and she's yours. Don't do anything I wouldn't do.
Looks great. I almost expected you to turn it into a burning ropecaster or something.
Nah, she was close to perfect from the start. She's a Varja original after all.
Okay. So
if I
we'll
find
come
anything
back.
I think you'd like, I'll be back around.
You better.
Okay, folks. Now, let's make a plan. We've completed this, so we've only got one more major thing to do. There's a couple of side quests we're missing, and a couple of other various things. Hunting grounds, cauldrons, things like that. So we are winding our way to the release date of Forbidden West. And I'm releasing at the moment, I'm releasing 4 episodes a week. So I am going to plan it so that the last episode comes out 2 days before the end, 2 days before release. That's what I'll do. So I will plan, it might not work out in a way, but this is what I'll do. I'll plan to pick up all the things that we need to pick up first. I'll start with the vantage points, and we'll read the lore there. Then I'll move on to the Banuk offerings, then we'll read the lore there. Then there's a few side quests that we need to do, and a few maybe I'll leave the cauldrons. I think I might leave the cauldrons, because it is just an override ability, isn't it? We get some skill points, mind. Yeah, it is just an override ability. What is that? Oh yeah, that's another vantage point up there. So we're just gonna enjoy it for a while, and the last thing we do, the very last thing we do, we'll be going here to prepare for the end game. Quite emotional. It's such a lovely game, isn't it? It's such a lovely game, and that was an emotional ride to finish that. It's my favourite part of this game, the DLC. So my favourite parts of the game are the first area of the Nora lands. When we get to Meridian, that's very cool. When it starts to reveal a bit of the lore about Elizabeth Sobek, that's cool. In this whole area, just a joy. Just a joy. Okay. See you on the next one.